100 years ago, the British Empire Service League, the precursor to the Royal Canadian Legion, was formed a short 7.5 years after the war to end all wars. Soldiers needing spaces to gather and recount war stories, shared lived experiences, continues 100 years after that. The need hasn't changed to this day. Canada's military reputation was hard forged overseas. Luckily for us, our military sacrifice and reputation is still highly regarded overseas. Our war efforts at home, largely forgotten. We continue, however, to reap the benefits of the efforts of those before us. Several of our guests today are authors and the originator of the project. They gathered here. They present some of the millions of stories generated in Canada over the years. The Legion continues to play an important role in the community as a support to veterans and in keeping the torch of remembrance burning. A few of the innumerable sacrifices and efforts that we are asked to remember, not just during the Poppy campaign, but all year round. The adage, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, rings true. I ask you to remember, not just during November's Poppy campaign, but all year round. It is up to us to ensure future generations never forget. Sadly, the war to end all wars continues to elude us. Be worthy of the sacrifices that those before you have made. I'd like to thank you all for your attendance today, your continued support throughout the year, and especially during Poppy campaign. Please remember to support your own local legions. Much of the operation of this branch is behind the scenes. Our food setup and the donation of time by our presenters and volunteers. Thank you to our volunteer team that has worked so hard behind the scenes to bring this important event to life. Much of it I am seeing for the first time too. The Legion runs on volunteers, and I am fortunate to have such a commitment from my own volunteer and executive. So thank you once again. Welcome to the branch. I turn the mic over to the young lady who's the key to this event. Katy Whitfield.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't think I'm young, but I'll take it. I'd like to invite people to come and have a seat. The front row is available, and I'm going to share a bunch of stories, so I don't want you to feel uncomfortable to move as that happens, but please find a chair. There are some chairs over here. Please take a seat. I want to acknowledge before I give my remarks here that unfortunately MP James Maloney is traveling overseas. He is the Member of Parliament for Etobicoke Lakeshore, and he sends his congratulations and his regrets, as well as City Councillor Amber Morley, who also could not be with us this afternoon. Prior to this afternoon's event, MPP Lee Fairclough came, and she has already toured the space here today, and sends her best wishes to all of us on this 100th anniversary celebration. So, good afternoon, Legion 101 members, neighbors, historians, authors, community partners, my family, and friends. My name is Katy Whitfield. I'm a high school history teacher at Bloor Collegiate Institute, as well as the project coordinator, co-creator, and co-host of They Gathered Here and They Walk These Streets, We Remember Them projects. I'm also proud to be a member of Legion 101. My grandfather was a member of a Legion as well. It is my honor to welcome you today alongside my co-hosts. You've already met Legion President Alan Roy, Youth Engagement Liaison Claire Laporte, who is somewhere in the room. There she is, always at work, as well as Archives researcher Michael Robinson, and my parents, David and Judy Whitfield, who have been on the organizational team, along with my research assistant, Lauren Wolfrey. We welcome all of you here to Legion Branch 101. Today we are gathered as those before us once did, to learn about the people from our community who served, to share their stories, to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion, which actually happened yesterday. They gathered here and they walked these streets of remembrance projects dedicated to telling the stories of those who served and those we lost. You can see to my right some of the photographs of those young men and women. We lost them in the First and Second World Wars, in the Korean War, the war in Afghanistan, and post-war military engagements around the world. This project tells stories through public remembrance installations, interactive outdoor exhibits, which you may have seen on your entrance into the Legion today, museum events such as this, and educational programs for local schools and scouting organizations. We seek to honor their service, remember their stories, and to connect us with our history. Okay, this is the first partnership between They Walk These Streets and Legion 101, and it has been an amazing collaboration so far. This project tells stories of courage and commitment and collaboration and sacrifice. By researching the military service of local individuals and by exploring historical objects and documents that are evidence of their service, we gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact of war, not only on those who served, but on their families, workplaces, schools, churches, and community spaces that were forever changed by conflicts throughout the 20th and 21st century. Behind every soldier, pilot, sailor, nurse, medic, and munitions worker is the story of their parents, their spouses, their children, their siblings, their classmates, teammates, and friends who watched them leave, celebrated their return, or grieved their loss and continue to carry their legacy. In telling these stories, we also come to appreciate the vital role the Royal Canadian Legion has played over the past century since its founding in July 1926. The Legion has held true to its mission statement. It has stood with veterans, strengthened communities, and honored the memory of those who served. Some of you have already had a chance to explore, but before you have more opportunity to do so, I'd like to briefly place this community's military history into context, and particularly for those who have come from away to be here today. The stories featured here span Lakeview, Long Branch, New Toronto, Mimico, and Humber Bay communities, whose contributions to Canada's military history are noteworthy and whose legacy continues to shape who we are today. At the outbreak of the First World War in September of 1914, Long Branch was primarily a summer resort community and would not become an incorporated village until 1930. Yet this area quickly became an important part of Canada's war effort. The land just to the west of here, known as Lakeview, as well as the Arsenal lands, was home to Canada's first aerodrome and flight school, established in 1915 by inventor and aviator J.A. McCurdy, who with the support of American entrepreneur Glenn Curtis, established a branch of the Curtis Airplane and Motor Company on Lakeshore Road in Lakeview. McCurdy's Curtis Jenny, which is in the picture that is just below where I'm standing here, was used to train Royal Flying Corps pilots before the Imperial Munitions Board assumed operations in 1916 and renamed the facility the Canadian Airplanes Limited to manufacture aircraft for the Royal Flying Corps. There is a banner next to where Alan is standing that tells a little bit more of that story. Beside it, and next door, the Long Branch Rifle Range, established in 1891 by the Ontario Rifle Association and the Government of Canada, became Long Branch Camp, where thousands of Canadian soldiers trained during both of the World Wars, including members of the 48th Highlanders and later the Toronto Scottish Regiment. There are some journal entries of soldiers on the table there for you to explore. Despite the community's small size, many young men answered the call, enlisted almost immediately for King and for Country as members of the Canadian Expeditionary Force. Among them were the Morgan brothers, John and Edward, sons of Reverend W.J. Morgan of Mimico Methodist Church. Both served in Belgium. Edward was killed at Etobicoke in 1916 and is buried at Sanctuary Wood. John, who earned a Distinguished Conduct Medal for conspicuous bravery at Mons in Valenciennes in 1917, was expected home for Christmas, but tragically died of pneumonia while on leave in Scotland. Another soldier, Gunner Colin Ronald MacDonald of Bracken Lodge, joined the 1st Canadian contingent and was sent to France almost immediately. 1 week before he died of wounds sustained during the Battle of the Somme in October of 1916, his family in Long Branch received a small package containing a brass eagle that he had removed from the helmet of a German soldier. By the Second World War, Long Branch had grown to a population of 5,172. Nearby New Toronto was home to 9,504 residents, fueled by the influx of munitions and factory workers supporting Canada's total war effort in many local industries, including Goodyear tires and others. While Mimico's population reached 8,070. In August of 1940, the construction began on the Small Arms Limited, located, and there's only one building remaining now, and there's a water tower there. If you're from the community, you know where I'm talking about, at the corner of Dixie Road and Lakeshore Roads, also on the Arsenal lands. In 10 months, the factory expanded to a size of 212,000 square feet. Employing a workforce that was nearly 2/3 women, the Small Arms Limited recruited single women between the ages of 18 and 35, and those whose husbands were serving overseas. They came as far as Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and other parts of Canada. Under the leadership of Colonel Malcolm P. Jolly, a former engineer with the Royal Canadian Ordnance Corps, the factory produced Lee Enfield rifles, ammunition, and other military equipment. At the height of production, there were 5,500 people working around the clock, 3 8-hour shifts, 6 days a week, producing more than 1 million Lee Enfield rifles per year, and the output per month was approximately 30,000 units. There was a headline in a local newspaper that says they were producing over 1 million Lee Enfields a year. The workers were provided transportation because the streetcar only went to Long Branch. You had to walk the extra kilometer or carpool. They were provided accommodation in local homes or wartime housing residences, and the community supported them through organizations such as the YMCA. A local resident reflected, whose name was Sean Radcliffe, said, "I grew up in Long Branch, so many people from the community worked there. For me, it is a reminder of how our community contributed to changing the course of the war," he said. "Until our rifle was introduced, we were not winning the war. Our rifle, and especially the sniper versions, gave the Allied soldiers an advantage," end quote. While factories supported the war effort at home, community members engaged in rationing, salvaging, and supporting nearby farming communities in southern Ontario as farmerettes. Many of the posters of those are located on the wall of the banner that is to my left. The men and women of Long Branch served in every branch of Canada's military. They flew with the Royal Canadian Air Force in Squadrons 101, 103, 407, 417, and 426 squadrons. And Second Officer Irene Watson, who unfortunately died in the war, served in the Women's Division of the Royal Canadian Air Force. She was the second woman to die in the Air Force in the war and lived on Lakeshore. Others enlisted with the Queen's Own Rifles, the Argyll Sutherland Highlanders, Highland Light Infantry of Canada, the Canadian Artillery, the Irish Regiment, I could go on, and the Royal Regiment of Canada. They fought at Dieppe, through the Italian campaign, on the beaches of Normandy, and in the liberation of the Netherlands. Others lost their lives in training accidents or because of illness. They died while serving here in Canada. Many served with the Royal Canadian Naval Reserve, escorting convoys across the Atlantic as able seamen, petty officers, and stokers. Ships including the HMCS Ottawa, the HMCS Athabascan, and the HMCS Avalon were lost to German U-boats in the North Atlantic and the North Sea. Today, the names of these women and men and those from Mimico, New Toronto, Humber Bay, and Lakeview continue to be honored on church and local school memorials, at the Vimy Parquet in Mimico, outside nearby Legion branches, and on the Canadian Virtual War Memorial online. Their service is remembered here at Legion 101 since June of 1927, and in ceremonies held every year at the Long Branch Cenotaph on Long Branch Avenue, east of here. Among the many stories uncovered in the project, one in particular has stayed with me. Now, I've learned, having done this project for 6 years, that their stories resonate and they hold a space in a little component of the left part of my heart. I could tell them all. I recognize their names on memorials and I can tell you who they are and what they look like. But this story in particular is worthy to be told. But there are 200 plus stories connected to this project that I've researched over the last year. Some of them highlighted today. All of them are worthy of our consideration and exploration. And many of them are told in different spaces through banners and bookmarks and postcards and so on in the space. These stories were researched by me and Lauren, my research assistant, and connecting the objects from the Legion that Michael and Chris Goddard have been able to unpack. So the story that has stuck with me most was published in a Toronto Star article in August of 1944. The headline was the voice of Mrs. Stewart of 1274 Lakeshore Road, whose simple words captured the unimaginable cost of war. Quote, "The war couldn't take any more from me," she said. Mrs. Stewart was the widow of Sergeant David Dudley Stewart of the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps. Her husband, himself a veteran of the First World War, was killed during an air raid in England in 1942. Then, only 2 years later, she lost her 2 sons within 1 week. Gunner George Irwin Stewart of the Royal Canadian Artillery was killed near Bayeux during the Normandy campaign on the 21st of July, 1944. And a mere 4 days later, her remaining son, Lance Corporal David Henry Stewart of the Hamilton Light Infantry, also lost his life in Normandy. I guess we can take solace in knowing that the boys are together overseas. Mrs. Stewart was left to grieve while caring for her 2 adult daughters, Mabel and Lillian, and her grandchildren. Recognizing the extraordinary burden she carried, Village Councillor Isles announced that the War Services Committee would meet to determine how to best support her. When we read stories like Mrs. Stewart's, we begin to understand that remembrance is not simply about those who died in uniform, it is about the families who carried the weight of the sacrifice long after the war ended. They walked these streets, they gathered here. We will remember them. So today we are deeply grateful to the support of the Government of Canada through the Commemorative Partnership Grant, which has helped to make the Centennial Celebration and these Centennial projects possible. The funding from these organizations from the government have supported the creation of all of the displays in the space and the educational resources that we will continue to share throughout the year. The grant has allowed us to digitize or begin digitizing the remarkable collection of historic objects, some of which Michael has displayed in front of them to my right. And we've also created a memorial installation on the fence of the Legion patio to honor the 27 soldiers who served and fell in combat and whose names were listed on the Village of Long Branch honor roll for the Second World War. We invite you to visit the installation when it's not pouring rain outside, to read their names and to learn of their service. We also encourage you to scan the QR code of each individual info card, and we've placed them, there are 27 of them as I said. When you scan that QR code, it takes you to the Canadian Virtual War Memorial, and if you're lucky, you'll find a photograph, a newspaper article. Bless the researchers that have done that work before our time. We will also be continuing to engage the community and connecting ourselves to this military history and the role that the Legion played through it all. In many ways, today marks not only not the conclusion of a project, but the beginning of a year-long celebration of honor and remembrance. Although the Legion was founded in 1926, the Long Branch Legion signed its charter on the 16th of June, 1927, and therefore, as the 101st Legion to sign the charter, we will celebrate that a year from now. Over the coming year, we will commemorate that history through a series of events to celebrate this remarkable space, the people who built it, the people who led it, the people who sustained it, the people who are fighting to fix its roof, and will honor the community that it has served for nearly a century. We hope that you will join us in those activities as we honor their service, remember their stories, and connect with our shared history. So thank you for being a part of this special anniversary celebration. I want to thank everyone who helped make today possible. I am not but one. There is a large team behind me and beside me. Their names appear on the thank you banner to my left, but they deserve our heartfelt gratitude, and I invite you to meet them all this afternoon. I want to thank all of the authors who are here, the historical societies are here, my colleague Anthony from Honoring Bravery, and Toronto Police Service, and all the other people that are here. My apologies if I'm not naming each one of your names, they are listed here. Thank you for coming. Your dedication, generosity, and passion, and your willingness to give up a Saturday for this important event is very important to all of us. I hope that you enjoy your afternoon honoring, remembering, and connecting. Please speak with the people that are here. Come and connect with me. There are, in front of Lauren, there are some bookmarks and postcards and buttons to be picked up. If you have not signed the guest book, Claire, there's a guest book that is on the table there, yes? There's also a raffle ticket that you should have gotten, and if you hadn't gotten one, please come over to the table to do that. We're going to be doing a draw a little bit later. One of the things that has made me feel so welcome here is Alan always told me that I was always welcomed here, and I've always felt that when I have come. So in his words and in mine, you are always welcome here at Legion 101. We are honored to celebrate this 100th anniversary with you, and we thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Hey there.
Hi.
Just wondering a little bit about what you're doing here.
Sure. So
And who you are. What's your name?
I'm Anthony Badame. I'm the Ontario coordinator for Honoring Bravery. We're a program of Canada Company, and we help to provide military history resources to classrooms across the country.
Incredible.
So today we actually have some of our panels here for our D-Day exhibit, but we also have our World War I slang game and a variety of different stories of different individuals who have served in Canada's military.
I learned a lot from your slang game. Thank you.
It's quite a fun game.
And there's, oh, sorry, what was the other?
So we have a variety of different stories here of individuals who have served in Canada's military. We have a variety of exhibits that we have online. So these are some of just a snapshot of some of them that we have.
Oh, great. So you provide programming for schools that are
For
interested?
schools.
And,
Yeah, that's right. So we have...
especially popular around Remembrance Day, I
very
guess?
popular around Remembrance Day. We have Remembrance Day programming. We also have specific programming for grade 10 history. And we have general interest blogs as well. So people who are just interested in military history can find out more there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And if there's any other little details you want to throw in there, that's fine.
Sure. Well, I'll just say if you have interest in military history, go to honoringbravery.ca.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, and we even got a QR code here.
We do, yes, for our newsletter.
Cool. Hi. How are you doing? What's your name? And could you tell me a little bit about what you do?
My name's Bonnie Sitter. I'm from Exeter, Ontario. And in 2018, I found this picture of 3 girls dressed in farm clothes sitting on the running board of an old car. I turned it over hoping to see names, but there was no names. But there was a clue, and the clue was Farmerettes about 1946. And I thought, nobody taught me about farmerettes. I guess I better start teaching myself. So I started doing research, and the more I researched, the more I enjoyed the story. So I wrote a magazine article,
Yeah.
and the magazine article then went to a book,
And then everything just snowballed from there.
and then from a book it was made into a play, and then I got a stamp for the farmerettes.
Oh, yeah?
This is a stamp here.
Oh, you commissioned to have this made, or you brought it to them?
I begged and borrowed and stole on it until they paid attention to me. It took 4 years to get it, but I didn't give up.
That's amazing work.
And then we did the 50-minute documentary, We Lend a Hand.
Oh, okay. We lend a
And
hand.
if you happen to be going to the CNE this year, your admission will let you see the documentary for free as part of your admission.
Very nice. Is that at the? Is that over by the? What is it? The Coliseum? Is that where the historic area is? I
I'm
think.
not sure. It'll be a quiet area where they're going to screen a film.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Somebody said maybe where the quilts and the craft area is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the book has more than 50 stories in it, how the program began, if the girls had permission from their parents and they had good marks, all those things had to be taken into consideration. And none of them
Oh.
had ever been on a farm to do farm labor, so it was a big learning curve.
Wow. I think I remember them saying there was a lot of society girls that were in the Farmerettes as well, right?
Well, in the First War there was.
Oh, yeah.
My story I've researched is the Second War. Yeah, a lot of the University of Toronto girls were in the First War Farmerette program.
Wow.
But so there's 200 black and white photos in the book.
Yeah.
More than 50 stories, songs that the girls made up about their farms. It was hard work.
Yeah.
Sunburns and blisters and backaches.
I can imagine.
But they persevered, and if they did 13 weeks, they got to pass to the next grade without writing an exam.
Wow.
So that was a good incentive.
Jeez. They have an incredible story, and there's so much to the Farmerettes that you wouldn't know.
No, and nothing happens without food.
Yeah.
You can't build the bombs and the bullets.
No, for sure.
It all starts with food.
No.
And people tend to forget that. And they don't think, well, what happened when the men left the farms? Well, the girls did the work.
Yeah.
So it was a good program.
Yeah.
The girls learned a lot of discipline. They learned how to budget. They were paid 25 cents an hour, which was the going rate for male labor at the time.
Amazing.
They'd just come out of the Depression.
Yep.
But they learned to do the job, and they learned to have fun.
That's amazing.
And there's hardly one that I've met that hasn't said, wasn't that the best summer ever? A summer never to be forgotten.
That's incredible. So you collected all these great stories and you've got them all in this book?
Right.
And can people get it pretty much anywhere, or?
No, they get in touch with me.
Oh, in touch with you? Okay. And that's Bonnie Sitter?
Right.
And that documentary as well, but Bonnie Sitter. I'll put some information in the video too, so that you can get in touch with Bonnie.
Yeah.
And get this great book.
Yeah. So
Fabulous.
Yeah, we're really. I feel really blessed that I've met all these women, and I continue to learn stories because people learn about it, and then they look in the photo albums and they see. So that's why Mother had a straw hat on. So that's why she was wearing bib overalls. They didn't know the stories behind it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just forgotten. So.
That's sad. There's so many photos out there where nobody wrote anything on the back, so you lose the story, and that's good that you're collecting in this way for people to remember.
I feel blessed.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello. Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Okay, no problem. Yes, we're from the Etobicoke Historical Society, a society that was formed in 1958. So we have 68 years of a tradition of researching and celebrating the history of Etobicoke. And so we're really proud to be here today to be part of this great celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Legion. So
Very nice.
With military history.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the items you brought here today? And
Well, we have a cannonball from the War of 1812. Which is
are
one of
you
our prize
serious?
selections. Yes. So,
that is
and,
amazing. Wow.
and Karen, could you tell us some of these items are from the personal collection of our member Karen here. Karen, could you maybe just
You're gonna have to pass the lapel over, pass the baton. Thank you so much. But he's already told me about the War of 1812 cannonball, which has just blown me away, literally. But he was saying there's some items here that were from your personal collection, like you were telling me about the records?
Sure. So we had very close family friends of my parents, who I call my aunt and uncle, who were actually members of Branch 101.
Oh, okay.
And were on the executive committee and used to put together the newsletter. When they passed away, they had no children. So I received anything to do with history because I was the family historian.
Oh, wow.
So these are from, I don't know how they acquired them, but I guess at some point they decommissioned the records because these are older 78s.
Oh, okay.
And these were all in their basement. So I took them and brought them here just as a representative of what would have been played in the Legion Dance Hall.
Very nice.
In the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
And then because they did the newsletter, they had one of the earliest photocopiers that I had ever seen. And I used to go over to their house and would help them staple together the newsletter that would be mailed out to all the members.
Okay,
And
so that's some of the pieces of is this their original art too?
So yeah, these were commissioned. He used to put them in the photocopier because the newsletter was called the News, Views, and Sports Gazette.
Oh, wow.
And so that was the banner that went across. I'm not sure if these were commissioned for this branch's 50th anniversary,
Okay.
but these are all the different sites in Etobicoke that were Branch 101 until they finally got the site we're in now.
Okay, and then you have the film negatives here too for the newspaper.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so he would put those in the photocopier, and they actually appear in this branch's 50th anniversary newsletter.
Jeez.
This was actually a house on 51st Street that they first met in.
Oh, wow.
It burned down.
Oh, and that was the
And
old
then they
Legion.
moved a couple doors down and built a new one.
Oh, okay. And that's
And
this
then
one
they
here.
built the one we're in now.
That is amazing.
And then in that collection, I happened to find a negative of the Long Branch War Memorial,
Oh, jeez.
which I'm not sure how old it is, but if you go down there now, there's a whole bunch of apartments behind it, and here there's actually no apartments.
Oh, yeah.
And there's only 2 plaques on the memorial, so it may actually be before the Korean War.
Wow. Yeah, there's just an empty lot with trees.
Yeah.
I always love how negatives look. So spooky.
And then the other things, my aunt and uncle served in the war. This is a button from the Canadian Women's Army Corps uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And then these are from the Air Force. And then someone in my family had collected meat tokens.
Oh, yeah.
So when they rationed meat, originally you had the coupon books.
Right
But
on.
the coupon books gave you 2 pounds of meat. So for single people and smaller families, it was too much.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they began to issue meat tokens so that you could buy a half ration or a quarter ration. 8 tokens equaled 1 coupon. And I was fortunate enough to work across the street from a gentleman who worked for AV Row.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
He gave me his company newsletters and this
Wow.
copy of Aircraft Magazine with the Orenda Iroquois engine.
You know, I saw an Orenda engine in person in the museum in Ottawa. They have a couple pieces of the Avro Arrow, including a nose cone that they save for training.
Right.
And they do have one of the Orenda engines on display. But that's amazing that you have these. Wow.
We talked about going down to Lake Ontario when they used to do the test flights, and they would go watch them do the test flights.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful collection. I'm glad you brought this out today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Is there anything we missed, or I guess we got it pretty much
I think
much
we
everything?
got them all.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, this is pretty interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about you and about your project?
Well, the project is the 1st Special Service Force, which was a joint Canadian-American commando group that trained in Helena, Montana. They served in the Aleutians, they served in France and in Italy, and they were a very effective commando group. They did things that no one else could do.
Wow.
They trained as skiers, night fighting, defendo, which is a specialized art, which you just break their legs, you never back up.
Oh.
And they explosives, parachuting,
Wow.
and they trained on American and Canadian and German equipment. So they were probably the best trained Canadian troops in World War II.
Jeez. And were they stationed in the West End here, or were they all over the place?
They were stationed out of Helena, Montana, so they wore American equipment, okay?
Yeah.
Because that was the deal. And
you said they even had airplanes at one point too?
they did parachutes. They threw them out of the planes. If they landed twice without breaking anything, they got their wings. If they broke something, they were sent back to their units.
Oh, wow.
They were quite a group, and without them, many guys, their commander, Frederick, said at the end of the war when he was talked to, he says, "I wear these medals not for me, but for my men."
Yeah.
Because they did impossible things, given impossible tasks, and managed to do things that nobody else could do. The group out of Helena, Montana was part of a Project Plow.
Oh.
And they were originally scheduled to take out a heavy water plant in Norway.
Yeah.
And what we didn't know is my brother and his dad were sitting in Montreal. He was supposed to take out a heavy water plant, and my dad was working in the atomic bomb, and as a chemist was working on heavy water.
Oh, wow.
Small world sometimes.
Jeez, yeah. Man, so you're making a book as well now? About
We're putting some displays together for the groups, especially in 4-1, which is 4th Battalion, 1st Regiment. They were the first people into Rome. They were into France.
Oh, okay.
They were at Mount Defensa. They were they were at the breakout at Anzio too. So it's quite a. They were in the wrong places at the right time.
Yeah.
Or the right places at the wrong time. How you look at it.
Wow. But they were really successful in what they did.
They captured 15,000 Germans.
Wow. Wow.
They killed 7,000 of the enemy.
My God. Wow.
And they had an attrition rate of 600%.
Jeez. Very efficient. Wow. Well, that's amazing. Thank you for telling me about.
You're welcome.
About them and.
And is there particular bags that you like or don't like, or?
Hi there.
Hi.
And you are.
I am Barbara Dickson, and I am sitting here at the 100th anniversary of Branch 101 of the Canadian Royal Legion in Etobicoke, actually on Lakeshore Boulevard West. And this is our table that we set up, and we're here to commemorate the women who worked during the war here in Canada. Over 800,000 women worked during the war, on the home front, and we're here to commemorate their contribution. So our forebears who came before us.
Very
And
nice.
we have merchandise, and we have an actual warhead that the women of the Scarborough factory put together.
And this is a fuse, right?
This is a fuse. Yep, this is a warhead that would have been attached to a much larger shell.
Jeez.
And there's a copy of my book.
There's Bomb Girls.
There's Bomb Girls.
And this led to the TV show Bomb Girls too, right?
It did.
Amazing.
It
You were a
did.
consultant on that.
Yes,
I think.
I was. Yes.
You got some really cool merchandise now
And
too.
the second book is coming out on October 20th across Canada in the U.S.
Courage
and
and
the
grit.
UK.
And where can people get you online, or?
People can hit me up online through the foundation or on my website, and that's our logo there, the Bomb Girls Legacy Foundation.
Perfect.
And you see?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
Stewards are the ones that I talked about in the speech. You can see at the top there. That's the these are the. So this is David Dudley, David Henry, and I'm not going to say this.
That's
right
okay.
here. Yeah, those three family members.
But you remember them almost like they were family because you've researched them so much.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's interesting, I think, in some of the research here. I mean, you know, as a researcher, you come into a space. I don't have neighborhood connection in the same way that I do in some of the other spaces.
Yeah.
And in fact, there is a smaller version of this Long Branch Memorial that is, you know, about a quarter of the size that only lists the war dead. And, you know, behind each of the soldiers' stories through the Canadian Virtual War Memorial, if I'm lucky, I get a photo, I get a newspaper article. I mean, some of the, where is she? Hold on.
It's okay.
Owens, I believe it's Owens. Owens dies in a fire in Newfoundland and Labrador. These two McLaren brothers were both members of the RCAF. One was in the 407, one was in the 417. This man here, Reginald Hall, he was part of a strategic bombing of a Nazi headquarter in Copenhagen in Denmark, and was heralded, died unfortunately in that attack, but was heralded as a hero. The part of that strategic bombing was a train station next to a daycare, like a children's facility.
So they did it very precisely.
Very precisely,
Wow.
and you know the fact that they met their target meant that it liberated a number of other people, even if it meant their own death.
That was very hard to do in the day too, especially
100%.
if you're. Was it bombing? A bombing run?
Strategic bombing. Yeah.
Because they're your carpet bombing, and you have no idea where things are going.
That's right.
You have to be really good.
Yeah. I would say that I would say about 65 to 70% of the soldiers that died in Long Branch were Air Force.
Oh wow.
Though her name is not on this memorial here. Irene Watson was a member of the women's division of the RCAF, and she was the second Canadian woman to die in the RCAF. She was in one of those ferry planes that was taking Canadian troops from one region of Canada to the other,
Right.
and the plane crashed in Newfoundland and Labrador. She was a student at Mimico High School, of which many of the folks here were, and lived on Lakeshore.
Wow. So do you think there was a lot of Air Force here during World War II because of the World War I Air Force in the area as well? Or?
Yeah, I mean, because of with the construction of the aerodrome in 1915 and then the creation of the airplane factory, clearly the Royal Flying Corps, you know, had a space in order to do that work. But eventually, as you know from your own research, those aerodromes existed all across Toronto, and a lot of the training eventually happened on the island airport, and the
because you have the RNAS and even the early Curtis Aviation School.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that it was there. But I think I think part of it is probably spurred on by a sense of adventure.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I mean, I think the belief that, you know, I might be safer in the skies than safer on the ground.
Yeah.
You know,
At least I'm in control of my destiny. I'm not just being sent into a line
100%,
into a bunch of machine guns. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But you know, I think what's interesting when you look at a war memorial of this size is that you can see that, you know, the village of Long Branch in 1939, as I mentioned earlier, was about 5,000 people. So, I mean, I would say there's almost 100 names in each one of these rows, give or take.
Yeah.
So even with the service there, I mean, in the end, they lost 27, but 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 people, right? Like,
I've heard things about the actual artwork in this too, sometimes was members of the group of 7. Just not even signing their name on a lot of these
so this
things,
one is an AJ Casson.
That's incredible.
Yep. And then the my understanding is that the banner would have been given to local communities, and they would have decided the order in which they were going to put the names. So in some cases you see first initial and then last name. In this case, they've done them in alphabetical order. This is sometimes a nightmare to a researcher because you have to figure out if the name is common. You know, is it John? Is it Jonathan? Is it James? And so on and so forth. And in fact, they've spelled them correctly here, the Hollingsworth brothers. In fact, but you can see here, I mean, in fact, 2 of the Hollingsworths actually die in the war.
I'm guessing a lot of times they threw a G in there by accident.
They would have, exactly. But, you know, the other thing is that it's like the Vimy Memorial in the sense that, you know, they find that one that was missing. I mean, this one obviously hasn't been edited afterwards, but, you know, there are some that I have seen before, you know, where they've crossed names off and added them to the bottom and so on. But
wow.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, every soldier here had a foothold in the community, right? Yeah. And whether that was through their workplace or through the fact that they were playing baseball or that they had family members that were working in munitions and so on and so forth. And so when you see the impact of this, I mean, this is what the city of Toronto looks like in every neighborhood. This just happens to be the one that's here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for telling me so much about the
the
history of this.
Do you want to let's go look at the propaganda poster here.
All right.
So we're standing here next to a wall of propaganda posters. The ones on my left are from the First World War, and the ones on my right from the Second. And inspired a little bit by the Canadian War Museum's installation that looks similar to this. The reason why I designed it was because of this one propaganda poster here. And designed by the Etobicoke Lakeshore Victory Loan Committee, they were soliciting funds to support the war effort, and you can see all the local municipalities listed, and all the supporting sponsored companies on the bottom. So I love this source. It was on the wall of the Legion in the basement here at Legion 101, and they were able to ask a local soldier who served in the Battle of Normandy to give a bit of a story of his wartime experience at D-Day, and then they give a bit of a bio. So he was the company sergeant major named Fred Ruggles. He won a military medal in the Second World War. He lived at 26 Dominion Road in Long Branch. And as they describe here, one of the boys who knows the meaning of sacrifice, he received his military medal, in fact, at Dieppe. And anyways, so he unfortunately loses his foot in an explosion. And of course, they try and pull on the heartstrings of he gave a foot, they gave their lives, won't you lend your dollars? Sure. I don't know if there are many that exist like this anywhere else. You know, I think many of them would have become, you know, something that would be used to heat a house at some point. But I think it's interesting, you know, he says, say, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And indeed we are. That we can still tell these stories and be able to honor the stories of this man, Major Fred Ruggles.
That's amazing.
Survived the war and came home.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Laura, you good? Yeah.